Hello, good morning. Welcome to Raising the Cane. I'm Michael Kane.
Buenos dias. Me llamo Maurice Kane.
Okay, he's bilingual. So today we're going to share with you some interesting tidbits, some in the news stuff. And so everything's fair game. Well, almost, not everything. So Maurice,
99%.
yeah. So anyway, Maurice, I know something's on your mind.
I wanted to start off with an item of motivation and awareness and moving forward as we continue in this still relatively fresh year of 2022. And I'm reminded of a statement made by the great Spanish Cubist Pablo Picasso, born in Malaga, Spain on October 25th, 1881, and died in 1973 on April 8th of that year. Picasso may not have been the most stable individual when it came to his personal relationships, but he had a loving attachment to art and the creative process. And something he said resonates as we work our way through our New Year's resolutions and our goals and objectives. And it's this quote, inspiration exists, but it has to find you working, end quote. So you just can't sit around on your duff and just wait for an apple to fall on your head like the one that allegedly gave Sir Isaac Newton the notion of gravity as a fundamental force of nature. You have to pound the pavement. You have to cogitate, strategize, contemplate, and put everything into action, either as an individual or with allies and mentors and partners. That's how inspiration becomes reality, how a dream turns into a manifested fact. And so I just want to start the day off with Pablo Picasso.
Oh, that was interesting. Yes. Yeah, I remember we had to study him in school. So he was a genius in what he did. And so
And
thank you for that.
we went to fascinating museums dedicated to Picasso in both France and Spain. And I would urge anyone, anywhere in the world, whether you're already in Europe or if you're in North America, as we are, judging from the Golden Gate Bridge behind me, Asia, Africa, Australia, go to any of those museums and check out the great work of possibly the world's premier artist, Pablo Picasso. Shout out.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that. So what do you want to talk about next?
I wanted to issue condolences to the family of Rachel Nagy, lead singer and co-founder of the Detroit Cobras, a rock, R&B, and soul cover band established in 1994. Ms. Nagy was the spearhead of this band, the Detroit Cobras, whose debut album, Mink, Rat, or Rabbit, was released in 1998, followed by Life, Love, and Leaving in 2001, the 7 Easy Pieces EP in 2003, and Baby, a full-length production in 2004. Their last studio album, released in 2007, was Tied and True. Rachel Nagy was a powerful vocalist. She was a musicologist and connected on a visceral level with bandmates, producers, fans, and everyone she met. So rest in peace to Rachel Nagy, someone who probably didn't achieve the fame and fortune that she deserved, but she leaves a lasting legacy in the performing arts.
Wow. Okay.
Also, just like those Ginsu knife commercials, there's more.
Okay.
Happy name day to all folks named Anthony in honor of Anthony the Great, father of monasticism, born a Roman citizen in the province of Egypt circa 250. He founded the Mar Antonios monastery in the eastern desert of Egypt, which still stands to this day. This day recognizes everyone named Anthony, Antony, Tony with an I, Tony with a Y, Antoine, Antonio, like the great Texas city of San Antonio in the hill country,
Hmm.
Antonios, Antonius, Antec, Antonello, Antonella, Antonine, Andoni, Antal, Anton, Antone, Antonina, Antune, Andon, Tanios, Imtanios, Tani, Antonije, Tanus, Auntie, and other variations. So this is a
Wow.
feast day for Saint Anthony, founder of monasticism, Anthony the Great.
Okay. Wow. Thank you. Thank you,
You're welcome.
Bar. We have two or three tidbits from Maurice. On did you know? So,
Did
did
you
you know
know?
that? If you didn't know it, you know it now.
You know it now.
So, let's something in the news. Let me put on my screen. Can you see that, Maurice?
Yes.
You share it. Yeah, it's not every day we get to talk about a major tsunami, but if you've been watching the news or not, you know it now. So this Hunga Tonga eruption tsunami. Uh, Let me just read. It's a volcanic island of Tonga in the Pacific Ocean, and the tsunami started on the 14th, and it encompasses quite a few countries. Tonga, Fiji, American Samoa along the rim of the Pacific Ocean, and give credit here to Wikipedia here. And
Wikipedia.
yeah, tsunami warnings and advisories in Samoa, Vanuatu. How do you pronounce that?
That's close.
Vanuatu, New Zealand, Australia, Japan, Russia, and United States, Canada, Mexico, Chile, and Ecuador. So, and then it says damaging tsunami waves reported in New Zealand, United States, Chile, and Peru. So two people drowned in Peru already. So there's already fatalities from this. So
Rest in peace to them and
and
their
so
immortal souls.
right. So this is a disaster in epic proportions. And so I was thinking, I remember reading somewhere where this they were talking about in 2009 a how do you pronounce the submarine volcano erupted, and it uh, broke through the sea
Yeah.
surface. And so it's very interesting to me. You can have volcanic activity in the ocean, not just in the ocean, underneath in the bottom, and which could rise to create. I don't even know how to express the damage and the toll on human life, but it's something. So any take on that?
It reminds me of that Boxing Day 2004 tsunami that killed 227,898 plus individuals in over 13 countries. It was an eruption um, of fault lines, the Burma and Indian plate. So it was an earthquake that precipitated that catastrophic Indian Ocean tsunami that killed so many hundreds of thousands of people near
No.
Indonesia and struck as far away as Ethiopia. And it really shows you the power of Mother Earth in terms of the seismological and tectonic forces. And there's almost little that you can do. They have tsunami warnings and advisories and release information. Um, like the highest level is the warning, where you're supposed to just seek high ground. The next is advisory, where you're instructed to avoid marinas, bays, estuaries, and coastal areas. And yesterday, as you said, Michael, uh, North America, South Pacific, and other regions of the planet were affected by that Hunga volcanic eruption, which still was tragic given the two individuals known to have perished in Peru. Uh, and so we rest in peace, and give condolences to them and to their families. But certainly, given the history of volcanoes and earthquakes and tsunamis in our third planet from the sun, it could have been far more devastating than it was.
Yeah. So yeah, just prayers with the family and those who still are in jeopardy. Just just unfortunate. So um, just it's nothing you can expect, but plan for. Emergencies. So
Yeah.
moving on. Um, what else you want to talk about? This is free for all day here at Raising the Cane. We're just
Well,
whatever is in the news, in the culture, society. This day we're
today continues the NFL Wild Card Weekend,
okay.
which fans of American football are watching. And my favorite team, I don't know if I should say it because maybe we'll lose viewers. My favorite team is playing today, so I'll just leave that to your imagination. So I don't want to alienate anybody at this point.
Yeah. So anyway, okay, and thank you very much.
Although presently the defending Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers are hosting the Philadelphia Eagles, and they have a current lead of 14-0 in the second quarter for people who are following. But by the time you listen to it, that game will be over.
Yeah.
But what about that hostage crisis in the Colleyville, Texas synagogue that concluded with the fatal shooting of the hostage taker?
Yeah, I mean, there's unfortunately there's nuts everywhere, and no matter what we do and plan for terrorists or people that have issues, we'll be polite. It's just unfortunate. Another unfortunate incident. Unfortunately, these things happen often somewhere in the world, whether it's reported or not.
Yeah.
Again, condolences to the loss of life and just the trauma of that. So yeah, it's just
Yeah, you're in a house of worship. You expect to be able
yeah,
to engage in fellowship or
yeah,
conduct your
yeah,
business, regardless of your particular faith. And
yeah.
today also happens to be World Religion Day and Religious Freedom Day.
Okay, yeah. I want to touch on this and to segue into tolerance and ethnicity, race, and stuff like that. When these things happen, it shines a light on the intolerance people have. We all can agree to disagree on our religion, and we won't even talk about politics. Don't want to talk about it right now. We'll get in that probably soon. And but
Yeah.
religion, where we grew up where we have friends and still do of various faiths. Whether it's Jewish or Muslim or uh, well, I know atheist is not a religion, but it probably is in its way. Agnostic or Christian faith and Catholic, and you go on and on and on. And you know, one thing that we have in common is that we're human beings,
Yeah.
and we may have different shades of skin tone and gender, but at the end of the day, it's the golden rule. Uh, treat others as you would like to be treated, and
I
and
agree 100%. Yeah.
yeah, and for those who are intolerant, just think about it. If you have children, would you want someone to discriminate or to attack your child or your
No.
spouse or your mother or your father? See, when you bring it in that perspective, so well, you're right. So why are you doing it? So why are you impacting another family or society? Whatever. So uh, regardless of who we are, whoever's listening, watching this message, you know, um, we should be able to live and work together and not,
Amen.
yeah, and so because if you really do have a faith and a religion, and unless you're worshiping the devil, how could you do those things? Yeah, how can you, whatever your deity is, and then how if you destroy other people's lives and impact them and do atrocities. I don't know what faith you're in, what you say you are, but you're really demonic. So
Although, it does
yeah.
introduce the subject, though, of whether or not there are actual faith traditions, cults, or belief systems, perhaps that should be exempted from tolerance, given totalitarian, genocidal, and violent precepts that are doctrinally part of their metaphysical or ecclesiastical mindset. For example, the Illinois school district decision to allow a middle school to have an after school satanic club.
Well, we are in America, United States, and worldwide, so many wars have been fought and skirmishes, and so I don't have any problem with the right to do that. But if you're going to discriminate against other religions and other belief systems where they can't do similar activities, then it's just wrong to use taxpayer money to single that out. I mean, so uh, so I don't even know what to say politely with that. So
Yeah, yeah. And of course, these are issues that are thorny, controversial, rife with polemic, and where treatises and volumes have been written, not to mention some sermons and homilies and encyclicals and papal bulls on the subject. And because, you know, the Aztecs had their own particular pre-Spanish religious practice of tearing out the living heart from uh, young males and maidens. It's part of their religious practice. And any particular denomination that did that today would be condemned, and perhaps justifiably so. Because are you really consenting to having your heart torn out? And
well,
if you did consent, is that something that should be tolerated?
yeah, I Sandra and I went to it was an event in Mexico. It was 2 years ago, 2020 February, no, March. It was March 2020, just on the cusp of the pandemic.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And so we attended this very significant uh, stage show. It wasn't even staged because it was like 2 football fields,
Oh,
and it was huge. And they demonstrated how they had this game. I cannot remember the game right now, but they had to hit the ball with their hip or their knee or their side of the leg to get the small hard ball in this hoop, and I think it was a
okay.
horizontal hoop, and the thing was like 20 feet in the air, 15, 20 feet, uh, something like that. It was a great distance where it took great skill to hit that little ball in that hoop that was like 15 feet above you.
That might
And
be hard even for me.
yeah, God, just that alone was amazing. And the actors that portrayed this ancient game, uh, uh, they successfully did it. I mean, you can just not talk about it. They were doing it. And
So
so
they
to
had
show how,
athletic prowess.
yeah, they did. I mean, no offense to basketball and soccer, you think you're bad, you try playing this game.
Yeah.
And so, any rate, we subsequently went on a tour of the area, the actual area where they played the game. And this is what, to get to the point, when you have a winner and a loser, right?
Right.
You could have a tie, but leads to overtime or whatever to break the tie. But uh, the winner had to sacrifice a member of their team, and I mean human sacrifice.
Yeah.
So if you actually won the game, you had to come up with a sacrifice.
You have to
Yeah, I
maybe.
mean, can you imagine trying to lose that game, man? It's like,
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, yeah,
that's high stakes.
it's
That's
like,
that's really win, lose, live or die.
and who decides which member of the team gets to sacrifice themselves. So it was a duty and an honor to die, uh, for the empire, for the game, for the god or whatever. But
So you're willingly sacrificing yourself.
it's an
Yeah.
honor and a privilege. So it wasn't like
Yeah.
they were dragging and kicking someone to, oh, I'm sorry, your number's up, it's your time.
See,
And so,
that's why you don't want to time travel indiscriminately and end up as a participant in a sport like that where you're not really fully informed of the stakes and you play well and say, hey, we like what you're doing, Michael. And in the ultimate honor, we'd like to make you the most valuable player. And you say, oh, great. What do I get? Oh, you get to give your life to our God. Uh-oh.
so yeah, so the area was Tulum and Cancun. Tulum is just outside of Cancun, and we saw the pyramids and all that ancient grounds. It was like really just amazing. And
Yeah.
but that part was something to, as far as the winner. I just couldn't get my mind wrapped around. Well, I won the game. Why do we have to die? I mean, we won.
Yeah. Can't you just slap me hard?
Yeah, can't the loser die? I mean, pick a couple of them, double down, instead of one, pick two of the losers.
Or
But I mean,
how about just kicking me in my groin?
okay, we're moving on. Got to censor you. Okay. So,
That's not as bad as being killed. Come on.
yeah.
That's not anything to censor someone for
Okay.
on Religious Freedom Day.
Religious Freedom Day.
Thank you.
Perse- we have
Thank
to
you for the censorship.
persecution. Got to
Yeah.
persecute.
What are you gonna do?
Do they
Hang
have an
me?
annual persecution day? I don't know, but
Uh, they
but
probably do in some of the countries where we
well,
have
yeah.
listeners.
Well, I
So we
was
don't know.
looking. I thought I saw a story with, and this is free for all day here, topic day or whatever you want to call it, where we're just discussing newsworthy and events. And but I read where this was it in Iran, where, and we don't want to make any extreme comments on raising the game, but
Right.
uh,
That's all we do, though.
yeah, where they condemned the the boxer to death uh, for protesting. He was doing a like a similar to Martin Luther King, peaceful protest.
Right.
And I didn't get into the story. Let's see if we can pull it up. But I thought that was interesting and say, what the heck did he do? I mean, peaceful protest. We're gonna execute you for having a peaceful protest. And I think
It's
he
so
was a
ironic,
boxer.
isn't it?
Yeah, it is ironic. Peaceful protest.
You know, well, it's kind of like the mostly peaceful protesters that were torching police stations, burning down retail centers, and killing merchants in Minneapolis, Seattle, and Portland, among other major American metropolitan areas in the spring and summer of 2020, or year of the maximalist COVID-19 pandemic lockdown nationwide, aided and abetted by various governors and departments of public health and hypocritical mayors who didn't stop their own traveling and partying and going to fancy restaurants.
Yeah.
So,
So, can you see my screen up?
yes.
Let me see. Let me get back to it. I kind of moved from the area. Look at this. This is the headlines. It says Iran's regime sentences boxer to death for his peaceful protest versus corruption. Wow, man,
Man, that's crazy.
that is absolutely insane. Thank God for America and the
Yeah.
other and the countries for the people that listen to our show as well. Thank God for your
Yes.
country as well. And it says the clerical regime in Iran is continuing its execution spree of athletes. This is ongoing, folks, targeting the boxing champion Mohammed Javad for protesting theocratic state's economic corruption in November 2019. So he's 26 years old. They sentenced him to death for spreading corruption on Earth. Well, they went beyond the Iranian borders. They went worldwide. Well, this gentleman, if there's corruption in your country and he's exposing it, uh, those are just lies and make believe stuff. And anyway, even if he is making it up, it shouldn't warrant a death sentence for speaking his mind.
No.
This is a young man. Really, where's the human rights? There is none.
None.
So wow, you say something different, let's execute you.
Well,
So
what's interesting.
yeah.
We're talking about sacrifices, whether voluntary or involuntary. It reminds me uh, of that famous short story by Shirley Jackson called "The Lottery,"
Mm-hmm.
and it's been around for decades. First published on the 26th of June, 1948, in the New Yorker magazine. And the thrust of it, and I think after several decades, you no longer have to deliver spoiler alerts since it was released in 1948. The thrust of the story was that it was a small American town, and in order to preserve their prosperity and the health of the community and the success of their crops, they had an annual ritual, and they called it the lottery. And there's only 300 people total in this small fictitious town. And what they did was they selected someone. And in order to make sure that the town would prosper in the year to come, they had a festival, they put names in a box, and ultimately somebody was selected.
Okay.
And the person who was selected or chosen was the scapegoat, and he or she would then be stoned to death. So every resident in the community would pick up a stone and throw it at the person, and he or she died. And they did that as an annual ritual, and it kind of showed the dangers of mob psychology and the abandonment of reason, and where people behaving in the same manner feel immune from the consequences of their action because there are all these other participants and co-conspirators around them that vindicate what they're doing. So it really kind of shows you the dangers of what can happen in a society where everybody is either part of this mass psychosis, or if they aren't, they're outnumbered and thus victimized and end up either being exiled or, in the case of the lottery, stoned. Of course, some people welcomed being stoned because they completely bought into the mindset.
Yeah.
But you end up having those dissidents or rebels.
And
Um,
insane again. So we're
yeah,
gonna have a whole episode of insanity.
yeah,
Uh, and I know some people won't think it's insanity because they're doing it. Obviously.
right.
It's sort of like the Batman, where the Joker, well, trying to have a discussion of Joker, why what he's doing is wrong. Well, he doesn't think it's wrong.
No, he thinks you're wrong for
Yeah,
challenging him.
yeah.
Why are
So,
you telling me I'm wrong?
so
You're
when you're
wrong.
dealing with somebody that is evil, of course they're warped. Their definitions and their mindset are bent on destruction,
Exactly,
and so
exactly.
and
And
so anyway, yeah. Go ahead.
and the postscript is that Shirley Jackson, who wrote the lottery, she wrote that and 200 other short stories, 6 novels, and other works of
Huh.
fiction.
Very prolific.
And yeah, and they've adapted many of her works. And in 2007, they established the Shirley Jackson Award for Outstanding Achievement in the literature of psychological suspense, horror, and what's called the dark fantastic.
The dark
And
fantastic.
yeah, and her estate gave permission to establish those awards, and they're presented at ReaderCon, which is an
At
annual convention.
what was that again? Weird
ReaderCon,
WeederCon. Okay.
held every July in Boston, Massachusetts area, the Boston, Massachusetts area, specifically in the town of Burlington, Massachusetts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, talking about books, so she's very prolific. I just want to, and some of you may have seen it. It popped up for a moment, but I was looking for a different picture. But I want to show you something. Yours truly has written a book, and it's coming out soon. And
Oh,
this is a one of the pictures that I have. I'm not going to reveal to you the official book cover and whatever yet. It's going to be uh, more of uh, a more of uh, a I can't even think of the word. Sure, when it comes up a break, I'll introduce it properly. But anyway,
okay.
um, but
When's
this
the
is
tentative release date?
it's going to be February something. I got a hint. Probably mid February,
Of
probably around the
2022.
2022 next month. And the ebook version is coming up first, and then it's going to be followed up with the paperback and the hardcover and audio as well. So
Fantastic.
it's called Slaying Your Dragons, and this is just a little picture to represent the book. But again, I'm going to the word I was looking for before, the reveal, of the book.
Reveal,
Yeah, thank you. God cannot think of that word. Reveal. The reveal will come out
reveal, or
in
divulge.
February. Divulge in February. So uh, this is just to give you a picture of what the book is about. And briefly, it's a transformation of personal growth development, but self help category, and to address those issues, those obstacles that are stopping you from reaching your potential. So
Okay.
that's what we are about raising a cane. So I had to keep that uh, going through my writings as far as to coach and to help. It's like if you were sitting in front of me and I was coaching you. So that's what the book is supposed to do and
Yeah.
is intended to do. And so it doesn't replace disclaimer, medical advice, financial advice of any kind, legal advice, but you have to seek professionals if that's what you choose to do so. But the book is to help, is my experiences and my opinions and my research as far as to help people that are fighting basically within themselves. And so, as
Oh,
you
that's something
see,
to look forward to.
yes, thank you. And if you see in this picture, that is me, yours truly,
That's you.
on one
That's you.
side.
Which
And
side is you?
oh, yeah, thank you. Okay, I'll let you be the judge of that. And some people, my supporters would choose the human side, the other would choose the other side. But if the other side were true, do you really want to bother me or make me angry? Do you really want to make me angry?
Only from a
Uh,
safe distance.
so so yeah, this would be worse than a werewolf. So be careful.
Be
Be
careful what
careful.
you wish for.
So the dragon I'm using as a metaphor for those obstacles and for those things that prevent you from taking to going to the next level, to
Okay.
conquering your fears, to the biggest dragon. I'm gonna give you a reveal here, is the dragon of fear. And so I focus on three dragons, but I mentioned many um, and in the book. So, and I related to some of our childhood growing up and adulthood, my experience, other people's experiences, and so it hopefully is relatable to the fight. Goes into relationships. It goes into area of
Yeah.
financial
So this is
relationships.
comprehensive.
Yeah, it is comprehensive, relational, and a relational is broken down with friends, family, spouse, significant other, uh, co-workers. It deals with productivity, which is this can be a business book as well.
Does it deal with crushing your enemies?
No,
Okay.
crushing your enemies,
Is it the
but
sequel?
I do use strong language to don't let your enemies control you, because those are dragons too. And
Okay.
you have your own dragons, but other people have their dragons too that may want to try to control you. So I go into if you want the shackles of bondage, whatever bondage is to you, broken. So
Okay.
don't feel trapped, don't feel lost. And I even quote the OJ's backstabbers,
Oh, that's a
and
great song.
it's quite a few quotes in there and sayings and affirmations. It's really loaded up with
All right.
this book is a standalone, but may make a sequel, a series, most
Crushing your
likely.
enemies.
Yeah, yeah. It will be another book, two, at least one or two more to have a trilogy here, and so some parts of it could be written as almost like a novel in a way, but it is nonfiction. It's dealing with real life, real stuff. And so I question, do you believe dragons exist? And I give you an origin story and relate it to why I wrote the book. And so,
Okay. So to look
um,
forward to it.
yeah, so definitely, if you have anything whatsoever holding you back, and a lot of times we're our worst enemy, as they say. Well, look at this picture. You're
Yes.
your worst enemy. Can you
I'm
imagine?
looking at it.
That's what we have inside.
Yeah, I don't want
And
to deal
we
with
have,
that dragon.
yeah, this dragons are nearly indestructible. And
Yeah.
the dragons I talk to are about are nearly indestructible, and say, well, if they're indestructible, how can you write the book? What can you do for me? Well, you got to buy the book.
There you go.
so,
That's right. That's right.
so
No preachers here.
that's the whole
This is not
point.
this is not pro bono.
By the way, for anyone that has the attitude, authors write books to sell. So, so okay.
Exactly.
So
I,
people,
I,
whoa, God, he's trying to charge me. Oh, really?
that's
Did
like
you?
that's like people who always want free legal advice. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. So we're not talking about those people, the ones that, do you really go to the movies, the AMC or Regal or Edwards or wherever you go for free? Or did they ask you for some money?
well,
So,
some people try to
so
sneak in. That's
yeah,
why AMC started having those guards in front of each of their theaters in the multiplex. Like
right.
one of my friends, he would try to see four films for one price, and it
Yeah,
wasn't an official marathon. He was
right.
theater hopping. I
Right.
won't name names though,
Yeah. So yeah. So folks,
unless there's a reward.
yeah, Michael Caine will charge, and its publisher will charge,
And how
and
much is he
so
charging?
well, it depends. We'll see when it comes out. I'm not going to
Okay.
reveal that. It'll be a reasonable price, like you pay for anything else. It's not going to be crazy or insane, where these people are asking for $75,
Oh
150 bucks,
my, that's
and
outrageous.
so yeah, it's reasonable. It's in line with the market price for these type of books, and it's a labor of love, and I'm notice what the line says: the fight is almost over. As soon as you uh, acknowledge that there's a problem,
Yes.
then your fight is 25% done, because you said there's a problem. Now the next thing is to take action to resolve it, to get rid of this dragon. And dragons is plural. We just don't have one, and I go into the book about that. And also I coach this too, so if you're interested in coaching and this is for to improve on a business front, a professional, and as well as personal. And so, go to SOM at raisingacane.com, or michaelcainespeaks.com is my website. Michael Caine Speaks at
Okay.
michaelcainespeaks.com. And the email is Michael Caine speaks at gmail.com, or SOM at raisingacane.com. So
And
it's
this
in
is
the book. It's in the book, actually, my contact. And if you want coaching, go ahead, Maurice.
and this is and just to clarify with some of the Anglophiles and moviegoers out there, this is not the Michael Caine that was Alfred in Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight trilogy,
No, I'm
starring
not. No, he's
Christian
not.
Bale.
No, he's not in blackface right now talking to you.
That's
So
right.
I
So
love the actor, Michael Caine, the actor. I'm not him. So if there's any confusion, maybe I should pull up his picture so you can see there are differences.
share the screen.
No,
Share the screen.
no, I'm not gonna do that
But
to you.
and the
So,
tidbit is his real first name is Maurice.
okay, now there you go. Okay, okay, well, okay. So, so anyway, after the book rolls out, uh, I'm also gonna have a podcast that relates to the subject matter in the book and what it covers too. It'll be a series of
Okay.
Slaying Your Dragons. So it'll be a break off from our main show here, and it'll be called Slaying Your Dragons, and with Michael Caine,
Let's do it.
not the actor, but the man from South Central.
That's the man from South. That's your subtitle.
Right. So, like the man from La Mancha. I don't know
That's right.
that, but anyway, so I hope you find it beneficial to your situation. And if you say, well, I don't believe I have any problems, well, read the book too. And by the time you get to page 30, you'll say, man, I do have three problems.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So,
That's right.
and or issues or things you want to come, or has it, you know what? And I confess in the book, I have not reached the mountaintop. I haven't reached to the top, but the pinnacle of my life, and whatever success and achievement means to me. And I believe it's not a destination. I mentioned this in a book. It's not a destination, in my opinion. It's a journey,
It is a journey.
because we grow. If you're doing the right thing, you're growing as a human being, as a person. And when you grow, guess what? The top of last week's or last month's or last year's mountaintop is no longer the top today. You
Correct.
get what I'm saying? See, we're all limited to a certain level, and then when we break out that level and to the next level, that top is now the bottom. You
Yeah.
get me? The floor, there's a new floor. If you're growing and developing, now this is, and I go into relationships too. Well, when someone outgrows the other, well, the other one is still at their mountaintop, and they don't have a new floor because they're not growing.
Right.
And so, that's why it's important who you're with, your friends, your circle, your posse. This isn't to say to get rid of anybody, But if you want to go to the next level, you need to start introducing yourself and surrounding yourself with folks that are on the same pathway as you. And it's just very difficult if you're not. And this could be buddies, you still have the same friend for 30 years. No one's saying not to invite them to the Christmas
But you know
party.
something? Some
But
people are toxic, and
yeah,
they may ostensibly self-identify or be regarded as your friends, but
right,
they really aren't your friends.
right,
They are backstabbers. They are not even frenemies. They're just enemies in disguise. They're
right.
wolves in sheep clothing. And
Hmm.
sometimes people get so attached to the notion of perpetuating a particular friendship
Right,
or any relationship that they don't perceive with clear eyes and a discerning disposition the true nature of the people that they're dealing with. And I
right,
know myself, I've had to uh, ghost or isolate or separate from individuals that really were just Judases that were kept keeping in contact with you just so they could sabotage and uh, and perforate your spine with their bladed instruments. To
right.
quote the OJ's backstabbers again.
Yeah, and you know what? I go deep into the book, and I even make a disclaimer that you're going to hear me periodically mention relationships. No matter what the topic, we could be talking football, relationship, basketball, relationship, church, relationship. Why? Because that's what makes you, breaks you. That's one
Yeah,
of the top three things, top 10 for sure. It's in the top three
yeah,
that will make or break you. First of all, your significant other, it will either edify you, build you up, or destroy you, or just delay you and slow you down and waste 10, 5 years, 1 year, 6 months, 40 years, 50 years of your life. So
yes,
I go into it deeply. And I mentioned, he said, oh, there he goes again. He's talking about if you do this, going down this dark path with this person, it's bad, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you may get tired of that. But you
right.
know what? It's the truth that I see in my observations and my years of being an administrator over hundreds of people at one time, thousands cumulative, coaching, a speaker, motivational speaker, um, hypnotherapist. I That's my experience and relationships. In fact, uh, years ago, I was attending a church, and I won't mention it. Won't mention the name. And the pastor did a whole sermon on relationships, and he had people come up to the pulpit and demonstrate when this person, you know, you, you may be there for a season, and Ecclesiastics in the Bible, not to be religious, it is what it is, and where it says there's a season for everything,
Right.
and so it may be true. It was good at the moment and the time to have this friend, this buddy, this pal, this wife, this husband, or whatever. We treat children differently because you can't divorce your children. You can not be with them, but they're still
Right.
your children. But it's so true. You may have to hold your distance for some of them too. The ones that drain you are vampires,
Yeah.
and so that suck the life out of you. You may have to distance yourself from certain family members, and so. But the pastor demonstrated, well, we're together now. We're not. We shouldn't be together because uh, you didn't change. And when we say change, every time you grow and learn, you don't get a new husband, a new wife. I'm not saying that.
Right.
I know
Right.
some people are taking this may take it to the extreme, but what I'm saying is where it's so divergent, it changed to being the Grand Canyon, so wide differences where both of you are miserable, no joy, because there have been internal structural changes that this isn't just superfluous on the surface stuff. This is like deep sea changes where you just, it doesn't make sense
You're right.
to continue. And again, I'm treading very carefully. I'm not a marriage and family psychologist, therapist, counselor, and I'm trying to get that advice. What I'm sharing is my experience. See, I get to do that, and you get to too. And
Yeah.
so um, it's
Actually,
important.
that's
Yeah.
why people um, write and publish and read memoirs and autobiographies and essays about their life experiences. Because even if you're not necessarily a licensed therapist,
Mhm.
counselor, or a certified teacher in a particular specialty, one area in which you can claim at least some degree of experience, if not expertise, is your own life and the journey that you've taken. And
Right.
so, what we've learned from people's successes, failures, achievements, disasters, triumphs, trials, and tribulations is that there's a certain universality of the human experience. And whether you're speaking or writing in ancient Sumerian or Sanskrit or Swahili, there's something that we as a species, Homo sapiens, have in common. We have certain material requirements: food, water, shelter, protection from uh, predators, as well as the higher order emotional, psychological, existential, and metaphysical needs, which is, again, it comes back to World Religion Day and Religious Freedom Day, um, the feast day of Saint Anthony the Great. Um, now, we're looking forward to slaying your dragons. Is there anything else that we need to address for the good of the order in this edition of Raising the Cane?
Yeah, and it's been a long podcast, a good one, 11:55 here, 55, 50 minutes. And so uh, I want to thank the listeners, but I want to also, and the viewers on YouTube as well. This year, this is January, so I encourage all of you to uh, write down your goals and figure it out, and have something to shoot for, to aim for, and don't shoot too low. You know how they say shoot for the moon. I would say even higher. I would say shooting at toward the moon is too low. Shoot for the stars.
Exactly,
Shoot for the
exactly.
stars. Shoot for the galaxy, the Milky Way, or whatever. The constellation. Just uh, and you have it within yourselves to be successful, to achieve. And so, and I'm not just here to plug the book, but that I do cover that. I cover all of that, but more so, write your goals. We call them New Year's resolutions, whatever you want to call them. And by the way, it's studies been shown that people that call it and define it as New Year resolution, they drop off.
Yeah.
They go away. So whatever you want to call it, your dreams, your goals, whatever your age, I don't care if you're 4 years old, 10 years old, 80 years old, 100 years old, as long as you're still breathing, there's hope and there's opportunity to enjoy your life. And I know a lot of you are struggling, so my prayers are for you that are struggling, and it's no fault of your own. Things happen, life happens, and I hope you find the joy and the happiness and the prosperity. And again, please shoot us an email if you want us to cover a particular topic. We'll consider that. SOM at raisingthecane.com. That's SOM
And,
at raisingthecane.com.
and in conclusion, let me just uh, invite anyone and everyone, bibliophile, occasional reader, fan of a particular genre, to consider joining Reading Becomes Eclectic, which is a book club that we started um, in the East San Gabriel Valley in 2018. We've met continuously without interruption since 2018. We weren't even interrupted by COVID pandemic uh, lockdowns. It's Reading Becomes Eclectic. We meet every Wednesday, uh, every third Wednesday of each month in the year. And as the name states, Reading Becomes Eclectic. There is no genre or subgenre, fiction or nonfiction, whether novel, essay, memoir, um, science fiction, Western, police procedural, horror, that we don't read and discuss deeply and convivially in a jocular manner. And if you're interested, uh, drop us a line and we can get you connected in cyberspace.
Oh, that's
So,
good. And so we have just one more thing. We have we're going to be having some interviews this year. Um, and so with authors, you name it, they could be in whatever field or whatever. But I have an affinity for authors and filmmakers and creative types, and to give them an opportunity to share what they do to help them out, not getting any kickbacks or anything, to help promote them as well. And because you have, it's a lot of people that are very interesting. It's not just your, what we say, A-list celebrities and stuff. And how do those A-list celebrities get to be A-list? Well, they started from the bottom. They started from a floor, a platform, and they clawed their way up, broke through. And so we want to do that. So anyway, I want to thank you, Maurice. And by the way, Sandra's in Quartzsite uh, in Arizona. So shout out to Miss
shout out,
Sandra over
Sandra. Hope
there. Yeah.
everything goes well.
Yeah, and so she's looking at gems, and she's going to be presenting that in a podcast too. Her trip to Quartzsite and what that means and what she's there for, and her thing, her shtick. So anyway, we wish you well, and thank you for joining us in this free for all episode of Raising the Cane. We'll go ahead.
And happy belated strawberry ice cream day.
Okay, thank you, Maurice. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.